Dear students, this module is on product life cycle. Like human beings, products also have a limited life cycle, and this is termed as the product life cycle. And they pass through several stages in the life cycle as we do. A typical product moves through different stages, namely introduction, growth, maturity, saturation and decline. These stages in the life of a product are collectively known as the product life cycle. The length of the cycle and duration of each stage of the product life cycle may vary from one product to another product and also from one service to another, depending on the rate of market acceptance and rate of technical changes, nature of the product and ease of entry of the other products in the market. But also the sales volume and profit levels keep changing from one stage to other stage, and every stage of the product life cycle create unique opportunities and problems, therefore requires special marketing strategy. And now when we look into the objectives of this module, after going through the module you will be able to compile the various stages of product life cycle and the role of management and the administrators at each stage, and as well understand the implementation of strategies and concepts at each stage of this product life cycle. Now let us study in detail on the different stages, 5 stages of the product life cycle. Stage 1 is the introduction stage. This is the first stage where the product is introduced in the markets and its acceptance is obtained. As the product is not known to the consumers, they take a time from shift from the existing products, and sales volume and profit margins are lower. Competition is very low at this stage, and also you see the competition is slower and distribution is limited and price is relatively higher at this entry stage. Heavy expenditure is incurred on advertising and sales promotion to gain quick acceptance and create the primary demand for the products. Growth rate of sales is very slow at this stage and costs are higher due to limited production and technological problems. Often a product incurs loss during this stage due to high startup costs and low sales turnover. So having the product gone through this introduction stage, the next stage of the product is go to the growth stage. This stage, as the product gains acceptance among the consumers, demand and sales grow rapidly and competition increases at this stage and price falls down. Competition increases and price fall will lead to the economies of scale, and that occurs as production and distributions are widened with geographical demonstration. Attempts are made to improve the market share by deeper penetration into the existing share markets or entry of the new markets. The promotional expenditure remains higher because of increasing competition and due to the need of effective distribution to reach the consumers. Profits are high on account of large-scale production, and its rapid sales turnover happens at this second stage of growth. So having gone through the second stage of growth, the product usually moves to the next stage of maturity. During this stage, prices and profits fall due to high competitive pressures from the other competitors. Growth rate becomes stable and weak firms are forced to leave the industry at this stage. Heavy expenditures are incurred on promotion to create brand loyalty for the existing products. Firms try to modify and improve the product to develop new uses of the product and to try to attract new customers in order to increase their sales. And also, having gone through this third stage of growth, the next stage the automatically product has to go is the saturation stage. The market peaks at this stage and levels during this saturation stage. Few new customers buy our product and repeat orders disappear. prices decline further due to stiff competition that exists in this competitive market, and also the firm fights for retaining the market share or replacement sales. Sales and profits inevitably fall unless the substantial improvements in the product or reduction in costs are made. Product differentiation, market segmentation, and product improvement are the marketing strategies used in this stage by the administrators, especially the marketing departments. And the last stage the product will go is the decline stage. The sales and profits of the product fall rapidly down due to the gradual displacement by new products or evolving changes in the consumer preferences that happens among the consumers very much frequently as the availability is higher. As cost control becomes essential to avoid losses at this stage, promotion expenditures are considerably reduced to a greater extent. Price becomes the main weapon for competition now for the products, and many firms ultimately abandon the products to make it better use of resources. New product innovations enter the market to take place of the obsolete and abandoned products, and this is the obsolescence stage. Firms which fail to develop new or improved products to arrest continuous decline in sales are forced out of business at this stage. Now, having seen these 5 stages, we have to know as an administrator or from the marketing department what has to be done at each stage. And the first stage is usual and has to undergo its changes. And looking in detail from the growth stage, and it is the second stage in the product life cycle. And for many manufacturers or producers or service providers, this is the key stage for establishing a product's position in the market, also to increase sales and also improve the profit margins to the organization. This is achieved with continuous development of consumer demands through the use of much available online marketing resources and also other promotional strategies combined with reduction of manufacturing cost. And how soon a product moves from the introduction stage, that is the stage 1, to the growth stage, and how rapidly sales pick up can vary quite a lot from one market to another and also based on the consumer preferences. Now, if we look into the challenges at the growth stage, the important challenge that happens at this stage is the increasing competition. When a food service is the first one to introduce a product into the market, they have the benefit of little or no competition at all. However, when the demand for the product starts to increase and the company moves into the growth phase of the product life cycle, they are likely to face increased control. They are likely to face increased competition as new manufacturers look to benefit from the existing or developing the market. The second challenge at this stage is lower prices. During the introduction stage, companies, usually the food service organizations, can very often charge early adopters a premium price for a new product at higher rates. However, in response to the growing number of competitors for the same product that are likely to enter into the market during the growth phase, the manufacturers or producers may have to lower their prices in order to achieve the desired increase in sales of the product. And also, different marketing approach is essential at this stage to benefit from all the buzz and hype that surrounds the launch of new products. But once the product becomes established and is no longer new, a more sophisticated marketing approach is likely to be needed in order to make the most of the growth potential at this phase. And now the same challenges, the benefits also occurs during this growth stage. Costs are reduced to the consumers to a great extent. With new product development and marketing, the introduction stage is usually the most costly phase of the product life cycle. In contrast, the growth stage can be most profitable part of the whole cycle for the manufacturer. As production increases to meet the demands, manufacturers are able to reduce their cost through economies of scale, and also established routes to market will also become a lot more efficient at this growth stage. And also at this stage we can see greater consumer awareness of the particular product. During this growth phase, more and more consumers will become aware of the new product, and this means that the size of the market will start to increase and there will be a greater demand for the product, all of which leads to relatively sharp increase in sales that is characteristic of this growth stage, the second stage of the product life cycle. Also, when we look into the organization, there occurs increase in profits to the organization. So with lower costs and a significant increase in sales at this stage, most manufacturers will see an increase in profits during this growth stage, both in terms of overall amount of profit they make and also the profit margin on each product they sell. Now, the product life cycle management of this curve typically shows that profits are at the highest during this growth stage. But in order to try and ensure that a product has a long life as possible, it is often necessary for the manufacturers to reinvest some of these profits in marketing and promotional activities during this stage. This will help to guarantee continued growth and also reduce the threat from the competition of the other products. This all happens in the second stage of the product life cycle, the growth stage. Now, when we look into the next stage of the product, which is the maturity stage, the third stage of the product life cycle, the third phase has quite a challenging time for the manufacturers. The third stage life cycle can be quite challenging for the manufacturers, and in the first two stages, the food service tries to establish a market and then grow sales of their product to achieve a large share of the market as possible. However, during this stage, third stage, the maturity stage, primary focus for the food service organizations will be to maintain the market share in the face a number of different challenges. And when we look into the challenges that occur to the administrators at this stage is the sales volume peak. After the steady increase in sales during this growth stage, the market starts to become saturated as there are fewer new customers. The majority of the customers who are ever going to purchase the product have already done so. And also we will look into the other concept of decreasing market shares that happens at this stage. Another characteristic of maturity stage is large volume of manufacturers who are all competing for a share of the market, and with this stage of the product life cycle often sees the highest levels of competition, and it becomes increasingly challenging for the companies to maintain their market share. And also the other challenge at this third stage is profits start to decrease. And while this stage may be when the market as a whole makes the most profit, it is often the part of the product life cycle where a lot of manufacturers can start to see their profits decreasing. Profits will have to be shared amongst all the other competitors in the market, and with sales likely to peak during this stage, any manufacturer that loses market share and experiences have a fall in sales and is likely to see a subsequent fall in the profits too. This decrease in profits could be compounded by the falling prices that are often seen when the sheer number of competitors forces some of them or try attaching more customers by competing on the price concept. At the same time, we have variety of benefits at this maturity stage to the product. We see a continued reduction in cost for the consumer, just as the economies of scale in the growth stage help to reduce cost of production. The developments in production can also lead to more efficient ways to manufacture higher and higher volumes of particular product, and this helps to lower the cost even further because of higher and larger production of the products. And also we will see that there is increased market shares through differentiation. While the market may reach saturation during this maturity stage, manufacturers might be able to grow their market share and also increase profits in other ways possible. Through the use of innovative marketing campaigns and by offering more diverse product features in the product, companies can actually improve their market share through product life cycle, the example of business being to achieve this. The product lifestyle management curve in this maturity stage sees that the manufacturers has a wide range of challenges, with sales reaching their peak and the market becoming saturated. It can be very difficult for the food service organizations to maintain their profits at this stage, and let alone continue trying to increase them, especially in the face of what is usually the fair intense competition. During this stage, it is the organizations that look for innovative ways to make their product more appealing to the consumer that will maintain and perhaps even increase the market share for the products. Having gone through all these 4 stages, there is a stage that the product has to go at the end as the 5th stage, and the final stage is this decline stage. The last stage of the product life cycle is the decline stage, which as we see as often as the beginning of the end for a product. When you look at the classic product life cycle curve, the decline stage is very clearly demonstrated by a steady fall in both sales and as well the profits. Despite the obvious challenges of this decline, there may be still more opportunities for the manufacturers to continue making profit from the other products too. And when we look into the challenges for the administrators at this decline stage is the market declines. During this final phase of the product life cycle, the market for the product will start to decline and consumers will typically stop buying the product in favor of something newer and better, and there is generally not much a manufacturer will be able to do during this stage. And also we will see falling of sales and profits. As a result of the declining market, sales will start to fall and the overall profit that is available to the manufacturers so long in the market will start to decrease now. One way for the food service organizations to slow this fall in sales and profit is to try to increase their market share, which will challenge enough during the maturity stage of the cycle and can be even harder when the market is in this stage of decline. And also the other important challenge at this decline stage is the product withdrawal from the market. Ultimately, for a lot of manufacturers, it could get into the point that where they are no longer making a profit from their product, as there may be no way to reverse this decline. The only option many business will have at this stage is to withdraw the product before it starts to lose its market from the company. And apart from these all challenges at this phase of decline, we also have the benefits at this decline stage to the marketing or the administrator. We have cheaper production, and also we see that there are cheaper markets. Even during this decline stage, there may be opportunities from some companies and food service organizations to continue selling their profits at a profit if they are able to reduce their costs. For some manufacturers, another way to continue making a profit from a product during a decline stage is to look to new, cheaper markets for sales, past by looking at alternative manufacturing opportunities and options, using different techniques, or even moving the production to another location or business may be able to extend the profitable life even at this stage of a product. And in the past, the profit potential from these markets may not have justified the investment need to enter them. But companies often see things differently when the only other alternative is to withdraw the products altogether. The product lifecycle management of this decline stage will experience a shrinking market coupled with falling sales and profits. For some food service organizations, it will be simply case of continuing to manufacture a product as long as it is economically viable, but withdraw it as soon as that's not the case. However, depending on the particular markets involved, some companies may be able to extend the life of the product and also continue making the profit by looking at alternative means of production and new cheaper markets. Even in this stage of decline, you see the product can still be viable, and the opportunities, even in this decline stage, a product can still be viable, and the most successful manufacturers are those that focus on effective product life cycle management, allowing the products to make the most from the potential of each and every product the company launches and introduces. The product life cycle curve is a popular marketing model that provides the manufacturers or producers with an understanding of how they can expect their products to perform throughout their lifetime. However, it is not without its critics, with some arguing that there are a number of challenges with well-recognized illustrations of product lifespan, and companies need to take these into account when using this as model of their decision making process. The product life cycle curve is to understand the challenges, and it makes sense to look at it in a little more detail. This curve is a simple illustration that plots sales against time, providing a general picture of how a product is likely to perform through these 4 stages of life cycle, rising through introduction, growth stage, before peak into maturity and the saturation, and eventually at the last stage of decline. The adaptations of these models also plot the level of profits as a second curve, which is often useful for highlighting the considerable investments required and negative profits that are made in the first stage of the life cycle. The product life cycle curve is limited because it is hard for manufacturers to predict exactly how long it is likely to stay in each stage, especially during the new product development phase. While most manufacturers are very good at making the best decisions based on the information they have and the consumer demands that exist and can be always unpredictable, which means they don't get always right. And the unpredictability of the product's lifespan comes from the fact that all the factors that influence the product life cycle are constantly changing and ever changing. For example, changes in the cost of production or fall in the consumer demand due to the launch of alternate products from the competition could significantly alter the duration of the different product life cycle stages. And also, we can consider this product life cycle curve as a model, and critics of the product life cycle have always claimed that some manufacturers may place too much importance on the suggestions the model makes, so that it eventually becomes self-fulfilling. To illustrate the point, if a company or the food service uses this product life cycle curve as a basis for its decisions, a decrease in sales may lead them to believe their product is entering into the decline stage, the last stage, and therefore spends less on promoting the products, when the opposite strategy could help them to capture more market share and also actually increase the sales again and again. while the product life cycle curve needs to be applied within a certain amount of care, and manufacturers are unlikely to rely solely on its simple illustration to predict that their sales and profits. It is still a useful tool. And as a conclusion to this module on product life cycle, with a general appreciation of all kind of challenges and opportunities that will be faced during each stage of the life cycle of the product, the model provides the food service organizations and their marketing departments with the opportunity to plan ahead, much ahead, the better prepared and meet the challenges. Some of these methods can form as an extension strategy of the product life cycle that prolongs the life of the current product or the service. This may give enough time to create a new version or an entirely new product or service to the market. However, this strategy will only temporarily delay a product or service decline. By understanding the product life cycle and its stages, the products and services, we can ensure that at least one of the ventures is at growth or maturity stage while another is decline. By doing this, we can guarantee a regular source of profit and income to all the products and services rendered by the food service organization.